Alright, welcome back to scimax. Today I thought I would take a little tour through a library that I've set up in scimax to set up spell checking. It's kind of a mundane topic, but one that is really important in writing technical documents and making sure you don't have mistakes in there. So I have, you can see on the screen here, these things highlighted in red are misspelled. And you may not want to be, slowing down while you're writing if you're in a flow, but you need to be able to go back and do them later. So the way I have it set up, I just type control semicolon, and it would highlight this word here and give me some suggestions. And if I press enter, then it leaves the cursor where it was when I started. And that's a pretty convenient way to work because I can keep typing if I want to pause after I finish a sentence. The second thing I have set up is control meta semicolon. So those two keys are right next to each other, and that will show me this little AV selector, so I can jump to a typo. Let's pick this one here. I just press D, and it asks me which one do I want, and I press enter for that, and again, my cursor stays exactly where it was. And that's also convenient. Sometimes it doesn't recognize technical words that I know are misspelled and haven't bothered to save. But that way I can jump around. And then the last thing I'll show you is super meta semicolon. So I have a Mac keyboard and I bind the left command to the super key, so it's really convenient and gives me a lot of flexibility. There's a little hydra that comes up down here that gives me all of these options. So I can spell check the buffer, or I can jump around to the previous one and kind of navigate by these. And I can also correct them. So if I here press W, then it'll correct this one. And if I look at P or N, let's say I press P to correct the previous one, then that one will fix that. And then when I'm done, I just press Q. All right, so those are the three main key bindings that I would use. But there's one more feature that I want to show you. And that is, sometimes I make a lot of typos like TEH. One hand just types a little bit faster than the other. And this should be the word the. And a really nice feature that I've built in is if I go to correct this, instead of just selecting this and moving on, I can press Alt-O with Ivy, and then I can choose A, which will save it as an abbreviation. And so now next time I'm writing along, and I write, say, the quick brown fox, it will automatically fix itself. And then I don't even have the typo, and it also works in, what did I say, TEH. So it wasn't that one. Now I already even forgot what it was. If I capitalize it, then it gets corrected to the capitalized version. So that's another really good trick for cutting down on the typos is when you make them a lot, you just correct them on the fly. So let me show you just real quick how I have it set up. What kinds of packages are we using here? So I just use a regular ASpell. It's not ideal. I used to use Hunspell, but ASpell is a little easier to get working on Windows, and a lot of my students use Windows. It's not the most up-to-date dictionary, but it's been reasonable enough. I specify English because that's the default language we write and speak. And there's a couple of extra arguments that we use down here. I like fly spell correct. That corrects as I write, and I use the fly spell correct Ivy interface. And here's where I set those key bindings. And then I wrote a custom tooltip so that it tells me what to type. Let's see that in action. So if here I'm writing, a bad word, as soon as I press space, you see a little hint at the bottom, type control semicolon to fix it. And so that's the purpose of that. That tooltip is just to expand this and tell me what it's bound to. And then I like to be able to fly spell a region or a buffer. So this function just checks if a region is active and then runs fly spell on it. This is how I got the AV code to jump to a typo. It's a really short. AV and IV are all great packages. And then the wrapper to get it to save an abbreviation was a little bit subtle. The IV or the fly spell correct IV function uses a closure to capture some information. So it takes these arguments candidates in Word, and then in this let star statement, it captures a bunch of variables. Mostly it's capturing a result, like here, the word. And then it uses these captured lambda functions inside the actions. So I had to rewrite it, and then I used an advice around that to save it. And then the last point in here is fly spell go to previous error. That actually isn't a function in fly spell. They only define go to next error, and so I adapted this from that. But you can find all of this stuff in the scimax repo if you are so inclined. All right, and so again, this is how easy it is to fix those. It's really convenient. It took me a while to get that set up, and I've probably changed it like a dozen times over the last couple of years, and I'm sure I will continue to refine it to change things. All right, thanks for coming, and I'll see you next time.